Hi all, welcome back. Param here. In this video, we will see setting a Grafana instance. Okay, so as I said in the previous video, we can set up the Grafana instance. One is self-managed, another one is cloud-based. That means SaaS model. Okay, if it is a SaaS model, it's very straightforward. Okay, you can use your email ID and create the account, and you will get confirmation email ID. Once you get, your instance will be ready. To create the instance of yours will take some times, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Once it is ready, your instance will be ready for in SaaS model. Okay, you can use at any times. There is no trial period, something like that. Only the size is restricted. Okay, only this amount of size per day or per month you can use or ingest. That is the difference in the SaaS model. Fine, but let us discuss more options, more things about the setup on self-managed Elasticsearch clusters. Okay, so the high levels, these are the main tasks we are going to do as part of the setup. Okay, obviously setups we will do for some of the configurations, and which editions we have to choose. Okay, that's we have to decide. Okay, then some of the plugins we have to install based on our requirement, maybe at the beginning of the installation or maybe during the down the line of usage. Okay, and some of the features available only in enterprise editions. Okay, then provisioning is nothing but, okay, so you can configure or you can do in fact not the setups, you can do most of the configuration. Let it be a set organization, teams, dashboard, alerts, everything. Okay, most of the configurations you can do by the code as well. Okay, or YAML file exactly. Okay, so that's how you will get the two benefits. One is versioning of your versioning, okay, and easy to migrate. Let's say you want to migrate from one environment to another environment, let's say dev to prod or prod to somewhere else. It's very easy. You can easily migrate it. That is one option. Second thing is versionings. Okay, if you want to go back to your previous versions, you can do. Okay, so that means for the versionings you can keep all those YAML file in any of the SEM tool. Let's say GitHub, Bitbucket, or GitLab, anything. Okay, so this is at the high levels. Let us go to the setup first. Okay, in setups, yes, setups we can do several options. Okay, one is virtual machines. Okay, so of course it's available in all the operating systems, Windows, Linux, Mac OS. Okay, it's available for all the operating systems. Okay, so you can do in any of the operating systems. That means virtual machines. Similarly, you can run your Grafana instance in Docker. Okay, and you can run Kubernetes cluster as well. Okay, for the during development or something, you can run in Minikube as well. Okay, so these are the several options. Okay, I would recommend for any test environment or dev environment, not test, at least dev environment, set up the Grafana instance within the virtual machine, so that you will have more handy. Okay, you can do all the configuration tweaking. Okay, and everything you can do. If you want to restart it, very easy, and you will have access to your configuration files, and you can easily log, you can see your logs. Okay, all the things. Okay, so that's why I would prefer to set up Grafana instance in virtual machine very first. Okay, virtual machine very first as a dev environment. There you can do all the steps. Okay, so let's say I'll show that I have set up the Grafana instance in my GCP account. Okay, in one of the virtual machines I am running that. Okay, yes, you can let's say with this virtual machine 99% Linux or any one of the Linux flavor, right? You can I set up in the Ubuntu virtual machines, but if you want to, you can find RPM flavor as well. So, okay, it's up to you. So you can set up by Debian package, or you can set up by apt repository, or you can set up a tar file, but I did tar file because I want to have complete controls. Okay, I'll show my directory. Okay, so I want once I unzip it, and straight away I can go into the bin folder. There I can see this Grafana server exe file or binary files. I can start it. Okay, so that is a fee. As I said, yes, for my recommendations. Okay, so you can go for, okay, give me a second. Okay, you can go for virtual machine for the dev environment. I'll tell you that. Okay, in the downline, what are the different components or dependencies for Grafana? So that's the reasons. Okay, then test environment or UAT or prod, you can try any Docker environment or any Kubernetes, whatever it is. Okay, it's up to you. But still, you can go for virtual machine also for prod, or okay, it's up to you. But if you want to have high availability or scaling factors, then it's good, right? It's good to go with Docker or Kubernetes. Okay. Similarly, you can, if it is a Linux machine, so there are three ways to run systemctl as a service, or you can configure init.d to run Grafana at the boot times. Whenever your OS start, it automatically get started. And third one is manually run. So obviously in the dev environment we do the manual run, so that we will have you will have more handy. You will have the terminal and you can close it or what you want. Okay, so as I said, Grafana is a web-based application, right? So you are going to access through the browser. So in the sense, your Grafana server has to expose, okay, one port. By default they are 3000, but if you want to configure, you can any port. Beyond 1024 you can configure any one of the port. Okay, and if you are monitoring your Grafana instance, I mean internal performance of Grafana, okay, in that case you can you have to bind another port 8080, which is for profiling, for internal performance, all the stuffs. Okay, these are the port has to be opened whenever you install things. These are the port has to be opened irrespective of where you are running your Grafana instance, let it be in JVM or Docker or Kubernetes. Okay, so port has to be run. Of course, that is the virtual machine based. But if you want to run Docker, yes, you can run in the Docker. Okay, for the Docker, before that, I want to talk about the editions. Okay, say as I said, we are going to set up, right? So there are two editions available. One is open source edition and the enterprise editions. Basically, when we go for POC or small requirement or small kind of dashboard, or what are the data source we are having, we are supposed to pull. If all the data source supported by the open source edition itself, we can stick with the open source itself. So that's how we can save the license cost at least. All right, but if it is not, if you could not able to find all the data source or some other SAML based authentication or alerting purpose, there are several features are there which is available only in the enterprise edition. So in that case you can go for enterprise editions. Okay, so as I said, Grafana has two editions. One is open source and enterprise. Okay, for both we have the images in Docker Hub. Okay, so you can Grafana-OASS, Grafana-Enterprise. So these two are the images available. Okay, these two are the images are available in the Docker Hub. You can use that image to build that. Now you are getting the image, then how do you override the configuration? How do you change the configuration, right? That's the case. So if that is the case, we have to depend on the environment variables. Okay, and environment variables or runtime variable, whatever you call. Okay, through the environment variables we can do all the configuration for the Grafana. Okay, okay, so that things you can do either Docker file or Docker compose file, or even if you are running your Grafana within the virtual machine, there also you can change the configuration at runtimes. Okay, so I have not said dependency, but if you are going to run your Grafana in the Docker, it's a stateless, right? Okay, but Grafana itself depend on one database, either SQLite or PostgreSDB or MySQLDB. Any one of the database has to be there. Okay, so in that it store all of its internal data, configuration, dashboard settings, everything. Okay, so since it is Docker is at stateless, we have to do some mount. Otherwise, we will lose everything once we restart the container. All right. Okay. Prefer to use a Docker Compose files. Yes. Again, it's good for versioning purpose. Okay. It's good for versioning purpose. Not only versioning purpose. You can do that. You can do versioning as well. Okay. You can do versioning as well. That is seven things. Okay. Grafana depend on as any database. Okay, by default it uses SQLite. It's a kind of file based database. Okay, file based database. Usually it will be in path configuration as a something grafana.db file. Okay, file based. But for the high availability, okay, for high availability we go for MySQL or Postgres. So when we go for high availability, in a sense, when we want to run more than one instance of Grafana. Okay, if I want more than one instance of Grafana, that times I'll go for shared database. So both instances will share the same database. In that case, I'll have to choose either MySQL or PostgreSQL. Okay, as a database for the Grafana to store its data. This data is not a data source. Okay, we can call it as a Grafana database. Okay, so if you want high availability, we should go for enterprise license. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay. um, okay but in our, with the open source editions, instead of SQLite you can use Postgres database. Yes, that's possible. But if you want high availability, you have to go for enterprise editions. Okay, then this is informations. Okay, I have gone through its directory structure and some of the files. So I understood like that they are using Angular and React, and they are running in the node.js. Okay, of course they have running Go language as well. So I saw some of the plugins, but that is not 100% sure. Okay, Kubernetes, yes, it's good. Okay, whenever you are having Kubernetes clusters, it's very easy to write. You can create one configuration file, spec file. Okay, and you can create a new namespace. In that new namespace, whatever you want you can run. So even 2 instances or 3 instances, it's really good. Okay, so in the sense, you are already having the cluster, you are going to run couple of pods. That is a easiest and quickest way, right, for production as well, at least. If you want to work with similar Kubernetes kind of things, you can run Minikube. Minikube is again Kubernetes, but it is a single node. In fact, I would say single node. Okay, that is about the setup. Okay, here these commands you can see, like whenever you want to enable the profiling or whenever you want to enable tracing. Okay, so that's how you can pass the command line arguments. Okay, so this is the high level details about the setup of Kubernetes. Setup of Grafana instance. It could be single instance or high available, more than one instance. I have to okay, let me tell you, if it is high available, in the sense it is not kind of cluster. Don't think cluster will share all of its clustering state. Okay, again master slave, everything will be there. It is not cluster, it is kind of federation. You can call it a federations. Okay, so if you run the 2 node or 3 nodes, okay, in front of them, so you can run one load balancer. So that's how the request will be distributed among them. Okay, there is no called master slave. Okay, so it is federation. That's very important. For high availability, we are going to have only the federations. Okay, that's all about the setup purpose. I'll discuss the configuration in the next video. Thank you. Thanks for watching.